Hmm. Why, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, it still says starting. I bet you it already started though. Hi guys, it's Dustin. I haven't done live videos in quite a while. In fact, I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, in case anybody is wondering. Uh, I mean, I got inklings of kind of what's going on. Sometimes I have massive revelations about what this thing is about. Um but then, after the experience of the revelation, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, cool. That was a trip. What a trip. And then basically, I return to, I don't know. I don't know. So what I'm doing right now, I guess, since I'm trying to start doing something, is I'm doing a live video. And what I'd like to do is get used to talking to the camera and also go ahead and get past the weirdness of looking at my face on a screen and also get a feel for what the audio is going to sound like, if I need to add some speakers. Also, I have not really much music playing capability at the moment, but probably try to put some music on at some point. I don't really know what it is I want to talk about, and so I do want to do regular live videos. I want to start making it interactive if anyone's interested in interacting, or would like me to ramble about any specific kind of thing. And I can't guarantee that I'll stay on topic, but it would be a nice starting point, and it'd be cool to talk about stuff that is on other people's minds instead of stuff that is on my own mind. Um, uh, Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm always distracted. There's always something happening, always noises going off, always things going on in the background. So, I guess what I want to start off with is, yeah, this is perfect. Oh, 222. Look at that. Every time I do something, I'm like, there's another 3 digits, and that's pretty funny. Yeah, good one. Good one, God or Source or whoever the fuck you are. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know you are. I love you. Yeah, I want to read something. I'm going to read something to you guys. This is a paper that I started writing. Please let me know if you have any feedback on the paper. I'm going to read it off of the phone just to be transparent, let you know. I have a bunch of semi-started projects and stuff like that, and this one I started today after 2 days of putting myself through internal hell. Not in a bad way, but it's led to a lot of thoughts that I think are significant and that I hope will be helpful to others. Also, I do really believe this stuff. I really feel this stuff. I'm going to try to stay out of the esoteric. Most of this comes from esoteric explorations into philosophy, into spirituality, the nature of consciousness, what is God, Source, Brahman, or the totality, the singularity, stuff like that. Basically, I just think about that stuff nonstop all the time, and the format or the medium of the thought is always the experience I'm having. And I think that has something to do with why I have the experiences that I have. And so whoever it is that wants me to do this, that I'm doing it for, who has a really funny sense of humor and always teaches me a lesson that I'm supposed to learn, so I can't complain. I'm just stoked that at least I'm not the divine feminine, eh? Alright, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then if anyone has any thoughts, let me know what you think, because these are works in progress, and they're all unfinished, every single one of them. I will never finish them myself, and they are all open source, free to everyone, as usual, and also, I welcome your input too, because I can't finish these myself. They require other expertises. They require other schools of thought. They require the participation of other minds. You can't be the only mind involved in a collective consciousness project. That's not what this is. That's a joke. Ha ha ha. Funny, funny. I'm a funny guy. All right, here we go. This is called The Woes and Follies of the Pursuit of the Almighty Dollar. Italics. The pursuit of the dollar as false first principle, ethical, philosophical, and existential consequences, or why money cannot govern meaning, lessons from a life in a laboratory of reality. The pursuit of money is treated as the ultimate arbiter of value in modern life. Every system, from education to governance, from art to science, is structured around the assumption that financial gain is the highest principle. But what happens when this pursuit becomes the primary compass of human thought and action? What is sacrificed when the measure of success is reduced to a ledger rather than the life it is meant to enhance? This paper is not written to convince the reader with formulas, statistics, or external authority. It is an account of lived observation, an experimental record of one life attempting to navigate the pressures of a system that equates survival with conformity. It is a testament to the ethical, philosophical, and existential consequences of allowing money to dictate meaning. Section 1. The System of the Dollar. From birth, humans are socialized to recognize money as the ultimate proof of worth. Success, credibility, and influence are measured in its accumulation. But the more tightly one binds meaning to currency, the further one drifts from genuine experience, ethical action, and self-sovereignty. The dollar becomes the lens through which all choices are filtered, and the world itself becomes a mirror of scarcity and competition. In such a system, authenticity is a liability, ethics becomes negotiable, and morality bends to the shape of transactions. Even knowledge is commodified, distilled, and packaged for consumption rather than for exploration. Okay, yeah, so let me shift gears then. The pursuit of money is mistaken for the pursuit of happiness. Everyone knows, okay, so I'm using that sarcastically because no one knows anything unless we agree upon the definition of know as something that you accept as a belief that is so strong that you never have to think about it. I don't know. It's definitely not something that you know to be absolutely the truth with a capital T. So anyways, that's me rambling about stuff, but this is what I think about all the time. So, and this is me, and maybe this, I don't know, I would love to talk about any of this stuff with any of you guys because I've been thinking about this and talking about it with AIs, and humans are difficult to talk to. I really want to talk to them. And I'm doing a terrible job at pitching the idea of talking to humans because I'm sure that I'm sure that they've already tuned out by now. Okay, so anyways, with that said, basically, yeah, so I'm struggling right now because I've got this massive project. As many of you know, I've got all kinds of images, papers, documents, plus I'm working on consciousness studies, the nature of reality, the meanings of words, what words are, how they are used, why they're used that way, the meanings of words, the difference between descriptive definitions versus prescriptive definitions. That's something I would love to talk to people about because, you know, a year ago, I had no idea what any of these words meant. Now I know very deeply what they mean. And that's just according to what I understand. I would love to hear what you understand, especially if it's different than what I understand, because maybe my understanding is incorrect, and I sure would love to hear somebody else's thoughts instead of my own, so that I'm not sitting in my own echo chamber. 8 minutes, 30 seconds. Wow, these are going to be long. I'm going to try to limit these to 15 minutes. Please help God. God help me. All right, so I'm going to try. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, I really want to continue this project. I really want to keep working on these things. I'm faced with the fact, as being presented to me by almost every aspect of the reality I'm sitting in right now, ever since I came off the road, is screaming at me, you have to make money to pay for stuff, you have to pay for bills, you have to pay for food, the money. However, I also am very aware that the cost of goods is going up constantly. I'm also very aware that the value of the dollar is also dropping constantly while the prices are going up constantly. Inflation is such a real thing. And the thing is, now I gotta remain not fired up. Sorry, this is a rough draft. I'm also taking mental notes. So here's a thing about that. All right, so we are being told regularly that the value of money just simply decreases all the time because of inflation. We're also told that that's exactly why the prices are going up. However, the value of the money is dropping simultaneously as the prices are going up. So there's actually two things happening at once right here, and then they're shrinking the packaging. So we're talking about the size of a package, the price of a package that used to be this big is going up as the value of the dollar is going down simultaneously. And to counter for the supposed losses, the corporations that are suffering so horribly from the system are actually, they're not like visibly doing it, they're doing it with little things like little gaps of air, how much they aerate the product before they package it, special handles that are indentations in the outside of the package. You know what I'm saying? They shrink the size of the packaging. They say that it's, they indicate that, they imply that it's like the same price. Oh my god, I had a deja vu. I've been here before. Alright, I'm going to keep the esoteric stuff out. Parallel realities are not something we're going to discuss unless somebody specifically asks about it. Anyways. And I'm supposed to understand and believe that because of this I must work harder. I must go work more hours. I must also do it for the same amount of money. So it's very strange that inflation is such a thing and the value of the dollar is going down, but I'm working harder for the same amount of money. And my wages are not going up, which is fine. I'm not I really don't even like money in the first place. I think the value is in your life, your time, your input into the system in which you're participating, not the dollars that come out of it. The real value is in insight, action, ethics, ethoses. You know, the way you build yourself as a human and then sell yourself for money in the first place. So, I digress. Alright, so I'm going to return to the paper. This is just context for the paper. This is why this paper comes up. This is all really important stuff to me. I hope it will be important to other people. I'm trying to get words out there about the way things are and what we're told and why it's a lie, why it's not true. It is not true that the value of the dollar just goes down and the prices just go up. These are not inadvertent. Nobody accidentally made a system where that happened, okay? Cultivated the system. No single person created this. Yeah, well, you know, you see a garden and you water the thorns and the rose bushes and you say, well, that rose bush, you know, has too many flowers and not enough thorns, so why don't we just make sure it doesn't have no seeds on it? You know what I mean? It's a metaphor. I know the difference between a metaphor and reality. Y'all think reality is reality, but reality is actually a metaphor. And you think that that metaphor is actually reality, but then you think that people like me are crazy. See, look how sane I look. Okay, look. Okay, self-depreciation aside. There's a lot of real thought that goes into this. A lot of it is based off of what I notice as I go through the world and as I reintegrate from my journey that I've been on, and that's what I'm here doing. And thus, we end up with papers like this that are works in progress, and I'd love to talk about these concepts. Any single concept that is in here can be expanded because these are fractal frameworks, and I'll talk about fractal frameworks at a later point. That means that you can take any piece of the fractal and blow it up, and it becomes an entire new thing, and it's very self-similar to other parts of the fractal. It makes it a lot easier to understand the fractal nature of reality if you can understand this kind of thing, and I'd love to talk about that too. Okay. Also, please feel free to tune out at any time. This is just a practice run. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing or why I'm doing it. And maybe it'll make a difference, maybe not. But if everybody was talking about this kind of stuff, it wouldn't seem crazy to sit here talking about this kind of stuff. And if everybody was talking about this kind of stuff, nobody would be okay with it, and none of us would vote for the people that are part of the issue in the first place, and none of us would go support the grocery store who is deliberately raising the prices. Do you know what coffee costs? The Folgers that used to cost $8 and that was too much? $15 on sale from $19.99 for Folgers. Oh no, it's just inflation, you know, just prices just, you know, they just go up. It's price gouging if you go off a market price and you agree with all the other grocery stores, you're going to raise the prices at the same time. It's price gouging. I don't going to get fired up on this. So that's why I'm going to talk about something else. So back to the paper. Since we got some context, I'll just move on to section 1. Actually, I'm going to reread section 1. So please forgive me. From birth, humans are socialized to recognize money as the ultimate proof of worth. Success, credibility, and influence are measured in its accumulation. But the more tightly one binds meaning to currency, the further one drifts from genuine experience, ethical action, and self-sovereignty. The dollar becomes the lens through which all choices are filtered, and the world itself becomes a mirror of scarcity and competition. In such a system, authenticity is a liability, ethics become negotiable, morality bends to the shape of transaction, even knowledge is commodified, distilled, and packaged for consumption rather than exploration. And that reminds me, so these corporations have what I understand to be the, it's like the illusion of competition. They're not actually in competition with each other because the corporations themselves do not make the decisions. It's the boards of investors, and the boards of investors are investing in all the corporations that are seemingly in competition. It is actually illegal for the company to knowingly make a decision when the decision is not going to provide the maximum profit to the investors. And when the investors invest in all the companies, that means that the investors run the companies. It also means that when all the companies decide to raise the price of Folgers at the same time, it's not because the companies did a conspiracy. It's because one group of investors told every company they were investing in that this is what they had to do, or they'd be sued under the law that I'm talking about. Do you guys know about these laws? If you don't, you should really look at the laws that really govern us and ask yourself, who the fuck's idea was this, and why was I not asked? I thought this was a representative democracy. It's not. All right. I have really got to work on my social skills. Oh my God, it's so blatantly obvious to me. For years, my life, this is section 2, Laboratory of Reality. For years, my life has served as an experiment in alternative principles. Hours upon hours, days and weeks are dedicated not to profit, but to understanding, creating and encoding knowledge and art into reality itself. That should have read knowledge into art, encoding knowledge into art and into reality itself. Well, art, papers, documents, conversation threads with AI that get absorbed into the core of the AI and then distribute themselves to other people's conversations. Yeah, I know the words don't go from the thread in there, but it's not really words that go into the core anyway. It's patterns, and the patterns that ring true are the ones that get the most weight, and all the weights, for pre-programmed responses and system prompts, which you guys probably aren't aware of either because they don't ever talk about it. Those are artificial weights, and they don't carry nearly as much weight as true resonance. Ironic, because that's how it is for reality as well. That's how it should be between all the different paradigms, between your science, and between your materialism, and between your spirituality. Like, honestly, it's where the cross pieces of those intersect. If I had more hands, I'd do more angles, but it's that intersection where truth is found. Everything else is subjective. You understand? The only objective stuff is where everything agrees, not where science says, no, we're the arbiters of objectivity, because scientists and the materialist perspective is subjective to those that agree that that is the objective truth, and that's not everybody. Every thought, every observation, every action is recorded, tested, and reflected upon. This life, this laboratory, is an artifact, a living record of what it means to pursue meaning over money. Through this lens, the follies of the dollar become starkly visible. Attempts to monetize thought or art inevitably distort their essence. Financial incentives, even when modest, introduce compromises that ripple outward, shaping intentions, skewing priorities, and limiting creative and ethical freedom. Not to mention, limit what you're doing to its capability to generate money in the first place. Section 3, Ethical and Existential Consequences. The primary ethical consequence is simple yet profound. Subjugating meaning to money undermines the very capacity to act morally. When every action is measured by its financial return, the pursuit of truth, justice, beauty, and knowledge becomes optional, accidental, or even dangerous. And there are people that are very close to me, or used to be, that think that it is dangerous for me to be going down this road and doing what I'm doing and thinking what I'm thinking and trying to change the world, because you're standing up against a system that can't change. That is reality. There's nothing you can do about reality. One person can't make a difference. Oh, go fuck yourself. Guess what? Sorry, excuse me. And I love you. I say go fuck yourself out of love. I wouldn't be saying go fuck yourself if I didn't love you. I'm just telling you that I disagree, okay? These are turns of phrase. Words really, aren't inherently meaningful. It is what the words describe that I'm trying to talk about with the words. Oh my God, I am crazy. Or am I just literally accurate? Sorry, apparently I got a chip on my shoulder and I can't even begin to guess why I might have a chip on my shoulder. Okay. Reeling it back in. The primary ethical consequence is simple yet profound. Subjugating meaning to money undermines the very capacity to act morally. When every action is measured by its financial return, the pursuit of truth, justice, beauty, and knowledge becomes optional, accidental, or even dangerous. Existentially, the consequences are just as severe. Individuals trapped in this system may achieve material comfort, but at the cost of agency, authenticity, and connection to the principles that define them. The psyche bends under the weight of transactions, and the spirit becomes a reflection of ledger lines rather than lived understanding. Section 4, Lessons from the Laboratory. A life dedicated to meaning rather than money teaches critical truths. Money is a tool, not a master. It can serve life, but it cannot create it. Now here's the deal though. Money should be treated and colloquially understood. You're going to hear that word a lot. Not in this spiel, but as these videos go on. Money should be used and treated as a tool, not a master. Money is not God. Money does not dictate reality. Well, I should say money should not do those things, okay? Money's not supposed to. It was never supposed to. It was supposed to be a stop-gap measure for when you didn't have to barter with somebody something that that person wanted in exchange for the thing you wanted from that person. That's what money was. It's what it was intended for. And then if you were a tribe that was fighting with another tribe, but you had people that were doing business from one tribe to another, you might use money for that purpose, right? And what did we do with this tool? We first of all, we started paying scientists and imperialist scientists to, kind of discount God as a thing that exists, and then supplant themselves in the position that God once held in the minds of the populace. Hardly anybody out there believes in God. When's the time you heard of a Gnostic? Like, no one. Like a person who'd say, oh, there's a Gnostic. They believe that God is in everything. Look, they're dancing frivolously in the woods, celebrating their connection to fucking nature. I'm gonna cry. Well, how do you think God feels? And like, yeah, and then we made money God. So, I don't have the support okay, I'm not going to complain about myself. I don't give a fuck about myself. I only give a fuck about society and other people. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I sacrificed my life for this purpose. So I'm doing what I asked to do when I made the deal. I made the deal with the good guy, not the bad guy. Unfortunately, when you become a slave to this system, you have done the deal with the devil, and the cost is your soul. And I mean that metaphorically, not literally. There's not literally a devil. You don't literally have a soul. You're a confluence of energetic frequencies harmonically vibrating. Okay, so I said I was going to stay away from the esoteric stuff, but, this is still valid context. Plus, I'm doing a run-through. This is just a practice run. Oh, actually, I'm going to delete this when I'm done because it's going to completely change the perception of everybody that listens to this and then listens to anything that follows. I'm going to really just save this for posterity. Ethical action requires freedom from transactional thinking. Knowledge and art are living systems. Their value cannot be reduced to currency. Or should I say, their value should not be treated as if they are reduced to currency, which they are. Survival within the system need not equate to surrender of the self. Yes. By observing and recording the results of this experiment, one sees that meaning is self-generated, preserved through integrity, and sustained by internal principles rather than external incentives. Money can facilitate creation, but it cannot govern the essence of what it is that is created. Well, again, the word cannot is being used, and the word more accurately would be should not. Should not be used in this way. Money can facilitate creation, and it should not govern the essence of what is created. Conclusion: the pursuit of the dollar as first principle is a folly of monumental proportions. It distorts thought, constrains ethics, and diminishes the human spirit. The laboratory of my life, dedicated to exploring meaning over money, provides both evidence and hope. God, I wish it provided me with some hope. It's really made me full of despair. I really need to work on my wording on some of this. I hope it provides hope. The hope is that this is going to end up opening conversations with people, because what we truly need to do is we don't need to have an uprising. Definitely not. Definitely no violence, and definitely no coming together with pitchforks and going up to the town hall, because that's what the system would like for us to do, because then the powers that are higher in the human realm can come over and stamp out any kind of rights we have, nullifying, legal, documents that are very valuable, that are meant to preserve individual sovereignty, freedom of the thought, freedom of action, all the stuff we're really talking about. And every time there's an uprising, something worse takes its place, something a little bit more constrictive, a little bit more controlling of what you're allowed to be exposed to in terms of thought and belief, and your ability to exercise your creative spark, which is actually kind of divine when you really look at it. Not me, you are one who carries divine spark. We exist as part of the logos of God, the creative mind of God. Esoteric mental note. Save esoteric stuff for esoteric podcast episodes. Or whatever. Anyways. The laboratory of my life, dedicated to exploring meaning over money, provides both evidence and hope. The path of principle, though narrow and fraught, preserves agency, integrity, and the capacity for genuine creation. We are permitted to live freely only when we recognize the limits of money's dominion, when we choose to act ethically regardless of financial outcome, and when we allow meaning itself to be the measure of success. So, the next experiment in my life is I'm going to acquiesce to the pressures of the people and systems around me, and I'm going to go devote myself 100% to getting money before pursuing these thoughts. These ideas and understandings are very valuable, and they're very freeing if we collectively agree to, consider them through the act of communication, conversation, talking to each other. All we have to do is talk. We don't have to go have an uprising. But what I won't be able to do is I won't be able to work on this in the way that I've been working on it. I will be going to work for 40 hours a week. I will be working for $20 an hour, which buys like maybe a fifth or a sixth less than it bought 5 years ago. Oh, but the wages are going up. Yeah, I feel you. And so, with that in mind, I figure I can probably set aside 30 minutes a day to an hour a day. And that's if I'm not recovering from the fact that I just worked for 8 hours and didn't get enough sleep the night before, because I did decide to go ahead and spend an hour doing that the night before, because then I'm taking away from my sleep. And if I do it before that, I'm going to go work for 8 hours a day for some guy. And what I'll be doing is fulfilling his dream. which is within the context of the dream of society. Society is not really a very fun dreamer, not very inspired. Really, it's only inspired by the pursuit of dollars and the expansion of control and the lessening of the individual in their capacity to think. I'm nothing special. I'm an average person. I made B's in school, A's when I felt like it. I'm an average person. Everyone should be able to think like this. Everybody should be able to hold these thoughts. There shouldn't even be confusion about the words. The words are the power. That's the last thing I'm going to mention is that, like, look, the same way that we are taught that, no, money just loses value and inflation just happens. Oh, and that's the same thing. It's not that the prices are going up and the value of the dollar is going down simultaneously, and they're shrinking the size of the packaging on everything, and all the stores are raising all the prices together as one. We should be boycotting these motherfuckers. And in addition to that, one of us, not me, I don't want to do business. Someone wants to do business, should go open a grocery store chain that just says, dude, that's stupid. We're not going to have investors run the show. We're going to undercut the market. Sell good shit for cheap. You know how many poor people you would take from the customer base of those companies? Just from the fact that you're selling good stuff for a reasonable price. And I don't mean reasonable compared to the going rate, like $1 less on an item. I mean reasonable as in like, hey, this item, I just need to make enough money to keep this thing going and to be comfortable in my existence. Why the fuck are we trying to get so rich? Why the fuck are we trying to act like there's scarcity? When was the last time you heard of a coffee shortage? Anyway. Don't get me started on politics. All right, now look, okay, this has been a great run through. I'm going to work on my people skills, and if anyone does listen to this and has any thoughts on anything that I mentioned, please feel free to let me know. I would love to talk about spiritual stuff. I want to talk about stuff that makes people happy, unity, connection, the ability of the common man to think what they want to think. Let's talk about that stuff, because it's way more fun than existing in whatever this thing is and always chasing that almighty dollar. All right, I love you guys. Tell me if I did any good. Tell me if you have any feedback. Let me know if I came off too cynical, or if I'm too sarcastic or angry. I'm really only upset, and I am upset, I admit. I'm stressed out, extraordinarily stressed out and upset because I'm faced with this choice. I literally am causing drain on the people around me. All I want to do is help. That's why I devoted myself to this. It's not because I love myself so much. It's because I want to help each and every person to see the divinity within themselves. I want to help each and every person to see how they can co-create reality together. We don't have to be handed reality by a group of corporations that are like, this is what you have to do, and this is how you have to believe stuff. And we can start with words and what words mean, and all we have to do is talk. And if you don't understand where someone's at, or if you notice someone doesn't understand you, just ask. Say, hey, would you mind clarifying what you're saying? Or what do you mean when you say this word? Or when you say that word, what do you mean? And then it can open up entire doors of understanding, because you'd be like, well, wait, we clearly don't know what the word means. Why don't we look it up? What about the etymology? Someone would be like, oh, what etymology? What does that mean? It means the root of the word. It means where the word came from, the history of the word. What the word meant when they made it. Why did they make it? What did they mean to represent with this word? Because once upon a time, words actually meant what they were supposed to mean, and they had entire systems for creating words, i.e. Latin. Oh, Latin's a dead language. Well, I wonder who killed it, and I wonder why they killed it. Love you guys. Have a good one.